Alright, so it is time, finally, to put some foam on this seat. And so that's what I got this thing for, but I thought I was being conservative and giving myself some extra cushion to work with here, so to speak. But really, this Minicell foam, which is what I'm using on this is stuff that they use in kayaks, is the story. And it's very rigid stuff. It's supposed to be waterproof. This stuff can get wet, no problem. It does not take up water. It's a closed cell foam. But the problem with it is that it's rigid. I cannot bend this stuff and shape it to the seat when it's this thick. So, and I don't think I really need it this thick. I was trying to play it safe than sorry. I wanted extra material to play with. But what I'm gonna do is basically at this point, I'm gonna chop this in half, cut it in half. So I have, instead of 3 inches here, I'll have about 1.5 inches to play with. Then it should bend a little bit better and allow me to shape it to the seat so that I can glue it down on my little seat so that I then can have some hope of being able to push this down and shape it to the curve of this seat a little bit. It's not a huge curve, but more than this thing can supply. All right, so I am going to approach this by cutting it with a hacksaw. See how this works, if it works. And to get that pesky interior stuff, I've got just the blade itself. There it is. Let's see if it fits better. Ooh, yeah, it's more bendable. It's definitely more bendable. All right, so on the seat itself, there they go like so. Bend it like so. And then I'm just gonna glue this sucker in place. All right, so I wanted to make sure I had a method for pressing the two surfaces together, the foam and the seat pan. I want maximum contact. I want those things to be tightly pressed together so that when the adhesive goes on there, I want it to sit for a while. I'm gonna let this thing sit overnight to squish together, and then tomorrow I'll come back and start shaping that foam. And I'm hoping at that point that stuff is just solid, one piece. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cover up everything on the bike that I don't want any adhesive getting on, which means basically the entire bike. And so I'll do that, and then we're gonna spray some adhesive. All right, so the adhesive that I'm using is this 3M Super 77. It's the Super 77 spray adhesive, and according to this, basically I spray it on here, and I'm using, there are different directions for one surface and two surfaces, and I'm using two surfaces, and so the bonding range time is from 10 seconds to 20 minutes. That's a good size range, and so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna spray the pan here, and then I'm gonna spray the foam, and then we're gonna see how long it takes for these things to tack up. And the way you're supposed to tell is you take the back of your knuckle, that's what it says in the directions specifically. I've seen other people do this too, but back of your knuckle, and you stick it and you touch it to the sticky part. And if the sticky stuff comes off on your knuckle, it's too wet. If the sticky stuff feels aggressively tacky, but does not come off on your knuckle, that is the sweet spot. That's what you want. And if it's just slightly tacky, you need to redo it. That's what I'm gonna try and do right now. It is fairly hot in here. It's in the 80s today. High humidity, so we'll see how well this works. Wish me luck. So shaking it up real good. That seems to be working. So this seems aggressively tacky, but not sticking to my finger. All right, they're both like aggressively tacky, but totally don't stick to my finger. So let's line this guy up. Let's see what we can do. Maybe I don't need to put any weight on this thing. It just sucks it right on there. That's kind of amazing. I'm just going around trying to make sure I get all the little bits in contact. Even though it seems like I could probably start shaving it right now. I'm gonna let this thing sit overnight, and I am gonna put my little strap over here just in case. I don't think this is necessary, but all right, it's the next day. Let's take a look at this seat and see if we can shape it. It feels like it's on there really well. Oh, I think it's gonna be comfy too. All right, I'm gonna go get a knife and I'm gonna see if I can cut this thing out in its basic form at least. All right, I've got a turkey carving knife. Toastmaster. This should be fun. Here it is. It's got two little blades on it. Let's see what it does. Basic shape done. All right, now I've got an angle grinder, high-speed grinder with a flap disc on here, which means that it's got little sanding pads all around here. So I'm gonna try that out on here as far as shaping, see what we get with this. All right, that works really well, but very fast. You gotta be very careful. Now I have it shaped as best I can with the angle grinder, and now I'm going through with some sandpaper. I've got 220 grit sandpaper. I'm just gonna by hand try and refine it from here. So here it is, my first attempt at foam shaping. So there it is, there's my seat. And yes, I am just gonna leave it just like this, just the foam. I'm not gonna upholster this at all. This is supposed to be waterproof, and I shouldn't have any problems using this. It's perfectly functional as is, and it's kind of got a cool, it's like almost like a suede-like texture to it at the moment because of the 220 grit sandpaper. That's how it turned out. You could probably get this a lot smoother if you used different sandpaper or smaller grit sandpaper. But I'm quite happy with this, and we're gonna see how durable it is in terms of the adhesive on the bottom. If this will come unglued at some point, who knows? Well, that is the seat complete. If you wanna see how we did the seat pan on this video, it's a whole separate video. It's video number 41 in the build series, and I'll put a link in the description of this video, as well as at the end of this video. I will make sure the suggested video is video number 41 in this build series. So you can check that out if you haven't seen it already. And basically with this seat foam, it is an experiment. I am not sure if this is gonna work out or not. I just saw in my research for seat foam types, I found that this Minicell seat foam, and I'll put a link in the description for how to find this Minicell seat foam yourself. I got it on Amazon, of course. You can buy everything there. I found that the Minicell seat foam is specifically used very commonly in kayaks and boats and stuff like that because it can get wet, no big deal, and they don't put any upholstery on it. And I was like, wow, what if I didn't put any upholstery on a motorcycle seat? I'd never seen anybody do that before, and maybe there's probably a good reason for it, but I like to find things out for myself, you know, because I'm hard-headed like that. And so that's what we're trying out on this thing. I don't know how it'll work out. I'll let you know. Check it back in with me in a couple years. See if this thing is still stuck on the seat or if I've come up with a completely different solution by necessity. Thanks for watching this video. Keep on wrenching. We'll see you next time.